I actually did have a Tommy Tune audition story. Cattle call at City Center, big, long room.
Yeah.
They're all sitting, tall, 7-foot man and Carol Hall, and replacements for the original whorehouse.
Oh,
Best of the Whorehouse in Texas.
Yes.
We had our 16 bars, and we were very carefully instructed, go in, put your music down, do this, sing the thing, and off you go.
Right.
I knew how to do that.
Yeah.
And I had chosen Kind of Woman from Pippin, just the end. And I put the thing down, and I said, start here, so I could hit my note, I could belt the end. And you know, Tommy, I've worked for Tommy Tune now, so he's a good friend.
Yes.
He said, Dee, and I'm half out the door, and I went, yes, and you know, the proctor goes, and I said, yes, and he goes, let me talk to you for a minute. And I said, oh, okay, and I'm thinking, is this good? I don't, this feels like it's good. No, usually it's just like, thank you.
Right.
He came over to me and he said, I just don't ever want you to sing that song again.
Oh!
I went, what? Because was he kidding? Should I burst into tears now? And he said, well, you're not average and you're not ordinary, so I don't think you should sing that.
Oh, it was a compliment.
It was, but you know, you go, okay, thanks. Do you want me to sing something else? Or, you know, no, I guess I'll just go. I walked out the. I thought, well, you know what? And that was the beginning of my knowing your material.
Right.
It should apply to you or mean something to you or fit you. And I don't think that had ever occurred to me before he said that. I reminded him of it. He has no memory of doing
No
that.
memory of him crushing your soul that day.
No, but you know, he kind of did me a huge favor.
Yeah.
Because it made me really examine. After that, I took an audition class, and then I really started to work. Because I worked with somebody who said, why are you standing like that? Don't put your hand in your pocket. Stand up straight. Brush your teeth. You know, be who it is when you come in the room, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So it was great, but boy.
It's a hard lesson.
In the moment, it's like, pass the Haagen-Dazs, you know?
Tommy Tune just told me never to sing that song again.
Don't ever sing that song again. I have to say, I've been very fortunate. At the beginning of my career, I was in shows that opened and kind of closed after a couple of weeks, and then they tore down the theater because it was before, it was before the landmark rule.
Oh, yeah.
I made my Broadway debut, and the show closed, and I think one more show went into the old Helen Hayes, and then they tore it down. And after that, I went in to replace somebody in another show, and that show closed, ran 3 weeks, closed, and they tore down that theater. And I'm starting to think, it's not so good.
It's the Dee Hoty curse.
And that's why I didn't want that word to get around.
No.
I think that's when I got my first really big job, which was the national tour of Barnum, opposite Stacy Keach. And Barnum was running on Broadway, and the reason I got the audition was because I had met Glenn Close, and she had said, you should replace me. You'd be right to do this. So I dropped off a picture and a resume at the stage door, you know, and I auditioned for Joe Layton and Cy Coleman, and I took the job on the road. P.S. The girl who did replace her was not a happy camper, because Jim Dale never let her forget she wasn't Glennie.
Oof.
And I thought, you know, see, dodge that bullet.
Yeah.
Something bad happens, something good happens. And Stacy and I had a great time on the road for as long as that lasted. When I left City of Angels to do Will Rogers, I went to the general manager, Ralph Roseman, may he rest in peace, and said, please don't give my job away, because if this doesn't work out, if this show doesn't run, I'll come back. So could you not hire somebody for a year? Could you just hire somebody for less than that? And then the woman that they hired was from LA and la la la, and 6 months, and she was gone. But then I wasn't coming back because Will was a hit.
So it was a hit.
So when I first moved to New York, I was in an unhappy phase and gained a lot of weight. As we know, not so good.
Yeah.
And the agent I was working with came to see me in a showcase and called me in and said, shut the door, woman, and said, I want to know why you have gained so much weight. Which, of course, for a formerly fat girl, which I am, I was heavy in high school. I said, what? Because you don't talk about that. You don't confront someone with, hey, fatso, you know. I mean, she might as well have said that. And she didn't. She was very gentle and generous and said, you're such a lovely young girl and you have a whole career. Well, I'm going to be a character actress and I can be, it doesn't matter if I play, you know, Ma Joder. She looked at me and said, Dee, when you're 50, you can be a character actress. Right now, you're a leading lady, and I'd like you to look like it. For me to send you out, I need for you to go to the gym, do whatever you have to do. I need you to lose 10 or 15 or 20 pounds and come back and see me. And when you do, then we'll go to work. I know what you can do is amazing because I played 2 roles in a show like Act 1 and Act 2 kind of thing. So it was like a hag and then a siren.
Right.
And they signed me. So I paid attention to the Haagen-Dazs after that. The imbibement of, my drug of choice, so to speak.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, my peers who I came up with, Faith Prince, Randy Graff, we've talked about, and I've talked to my agent about it, who's still the same agent, by the way. They've morphed into different things. But you can't have careers like we did once, because I came up when you could audition for a Broadway show and get it.
Right.
And not be in a reality, not having done 19 workshops or 17 labs and, done every version of it since Poughkeepsie. And that doesn't happen anymore. You have to have a recording career, or be on a soap, or in the movies, or have a web series, or something. Everybody, it's very rare.
Very rare.
It's the American Idolization of Broadway, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I feel very lucky, very blessed. And, I also, there's a modicum of being good in there and doing your homework and keeping up with the whatever. But Haagen-Dazs. But I tell students and people, if you can't handle the rejection, you're in the wrong business.
Oh, yeah. It's daily.
Because you cannot let yourself be affected by that. If somebody tells you you're not a dancer,
Right.
and you know full well you can keep up in class, then you may not be their kind of dancer, which is why a lot of choreographers have their favorite people that you see in show after show, and directors too, and that sort of thing. So you have to really hang on to yourself, find a way to do that, because otherwise you're not doomed, but you're in for a long, long, sorry time.